Okay, I have something a little different for you today. I'm back into Train Sim Classic. I love Train Sim World, and we just came out with Train Sim World 5, and you would think I'd be posting a video about that, and I will. But all the waiting around for Train Sim World 5, I have it now, but I was messing about with Train Sim Classic because one of the big disappointments about Train Sim World 5, and I will talk about a whole bunch of the disappointments I have about that in the future video, but one is no American Steam as of yet, and not even on the roadmap, and not, it's not even just the Train Sim World 5, just came out, but not even on the roadmap do we see American Steam. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I love American Steam. So this is, I think it's, this is the Pere Marquette, and it's is it Machine Reel that puts it out? What a beautiful model this is. It is worthy of Train Sim World. It's that good a looking model in every respect. It really is a beauty. But today I want to talk about how to drive a steam engine. And I did this several years ago, and I realized it was a silent movie. Back in the days when I did silent videos, I get so annoyed today when people put out silent videos and think, what's the matter, can't you talk? We want talkies, we don't want silent movies anymore. But before I walk back there, in Train Sim Classic you can't really walk, so you gotta fly around with the freight train. Let's talk a little bit about the engine and get it going before I go and mess about with the boxcars. So the way, and I'm not going to get into great detail, but the way a steam engine works is that the drive wheels are going to be driven by this piston right here, this rod, and so that's going to go back and forth inside this chest, and the reverser is like you dial it in depending on how big of a stroke you want, and also also, if you dial it into, let's say, the negative side, you can dial it to one side or the other, whether you want to go forward or if you want to go in reverse. So there's a valve. This section up here has a valve that reverser is going to push the valve this way to stroke it this way, or it's going to push the valve that has the steam coming out of the boiler for the steam to come into the chest here to push the stroke going this way. So the stroke's going to go this way or it's going to go this way, depending on whether you want to reverse the drive wheels or get it to go forward. And the thing about it too, it's almost like putting it in gear, because the longer the stroke, the more steam power you're going to have. But you want to, like in low gear, but you're going to want to shorten the stroke to be very short strokes to get the most efficient and the fastest as you get into higher speeds. To get the faster speeds, you want a really very short stroke. So that's the steam chest, and the steam that's going to drive these drive wheels is coming from the boiler. And there's a lot to the boiler and what goes on in these sections up here, but I don't want to get into that great deal of detail, but there's other videos that do talk about it, how not only are you boiling the water, but you're also keeping it dry, and you're going to recover the steam from, think, up in this area here, because it's the drier steam, while you remove any of the water molecules or the water vapor, and keep the steam as dry as possible and most efficient as possible. But basically, the way that all goes down is the water in here is boiling because there is a firebox here. This whole thing here, I think, is a firebox. and there's also valves that inject it through coils throughout the boiler. But nevertheless, you're going to keep the fire going, and you're going to keep the water boiling, and that's going to be a balance to keep the train driving. And this is your storage of when you want to replenish. When the fire needs to be replenished, you're going to get coal. We got to go up the top here. You're going to get coal, comes right out of here, and it easily slides right into the firebox. And also underneath this coal, I'm sorry for moving around so much. There's a water tank. So as the boiler starts using up the water in the whole boiler, you're going to need to replenish that water. There's a lot of dynamics, and so with all that understanding, there's an art to keeping a steam engine going the way you want it to go, and even to have the power to pull a string of cars and to go uphill. And so I want this to be a lesson in not just how to drive the steam engine, but how to drive it efficiently, how to get up over a hill, and all of that. So really, I wanted to show you from easy to expert, really. So we're going to begin with the easy stuff, and then kind of talk about some of the expert ways of doing it, because one of the things, because the easy stuff is going to be using the HUD, like the toy HUD that some people don't like in Train Sim Classic, but it's going to really help in understanding what's going on in the boiler and the steam chest and all that stuff. So part of the problem is, of course, we know with even modern diesel power, we have, especially in America, we have these mile-long trains and even longer. We need multiple units to do it. So there's a limit to how much one engine can pull, and that was the case always. There's only so much of a pulling power that one steam engine could do. You're either going to have to double up on them or get yourself a big boy. Big boy has, I didn't even talk about the number of drive wheels, but a big boy has, I think, 8 drive wheels about together. So I want to get rid of some of this stuff, so I'm going to unhook there. Oh, and I forgot, I was supposed to go in, before I did all this talking and unhooking, to go into here and get everything going. So when I say easy, we're going to bring up the toy HUD. And one of the reasons why the toy HUD is useful is because, especially in a video, where, because if we go into the expert HUD, the expert HUD is you hit the F5, you hit it twice. All this information up here gives you expert information on how to drive this. The data you need, the essential things you need to drive this train. A lot of it can be found on the gauges, of course, and the valves, and there's just so many valves. But we want to start out in the well. My point was the expert, visual is very difficult to see on a YouTube video unless you got yourself on a full screen monitor while you're watching me. I will publish it in 1080p, not 4K, but 1080p. It takes me a long time to upload the 1080p videos if they go into 40 minutes or so. But we'll use the arcade HUD, if you will, because it's a lot easier for you to see, and also it's easier to begin understanding, and then we can translate that to the other thing. So right now we got about this is the firebox. This is the firebox right here, and of course we could go using the mouse. We can. In fact, I don't know why, but this particular model, I have a difficult time. You have to pull it out and over. Sometimes I have no trouble with it. Other times I have a lot of trouble with it. But you don't really have to worry about all that stuff. The valves, they all work. They turn, see, they all turn, and you can do it that way. And but we're going to use the Easy HUD, and this firebox, we got to get it cooking. And it's cooking now, but it's at 48%. So we're going to open it up. While we're opening up, we're also shoveling coal in. We're not actually using a shovel. With this kind of it's more of a modern steam. If you see, it's continually with a scroll shaft. It continually is pulling coal into the firebox. I don't know if I can see that. You can see it right there, as it should be pulling coal into the firebox and increasing the amount of firebox pressure. So put that down. And what we're doing here is we see that in this red circle that says PSI. That's the pressure we have right now on the boiler. And actually, to be honest with you, it might be the pressure on the steam chest rather than the overall boiler. So, if we go back and go back outside, let's go back outside for a minute and take a look. Yeah, this is the steam chest here that's going to drive the drive shaft. I think that is really, whether it's the overall pressure on the boiler or the steam chest, maybe some of you experts can help me out with that, but that's my understanding. Now, we want to increase this. We want to get this really hot, and an expert way of doing this, and I learned this from Matt Penelson. He gave a video about 6-7 years ago on driving a British steam. And British steam is going to be, in principle, exactly the same, but the gauges and stuff are going to be different. And so the numbers are going to be different because the gauges are a little different on the British steam. But on the American steam, one of the things while you're sitting still, if you want to get this to increase faster, you can open up the blower. Here's the blower here. So I'm going to turn that blower on. There's probably a way to do it here with all these little icons, but I happen to know that this is going to turn the blower on. It's going to kind of help blow on the coals while we're pushing them in and getting that to rise. You may not be able to read it, but right now it's 57%. But if we go into expert mode, you probably won't be able to read that either, but it says steam generation, and it shows it right here, and it shows firebox mass. So as we're entering in more coals, we're building the fire mass, and we're also increasing the steam generation. It's much higher than steam usage. We're just sitting here. We're really not using the steam at the moment, but eventually we're going to be using steam, and it's going to be a balance between generating steam and using steam and and keeping it so you don't lose your pressure. So right now back to the easy mode. Before we go to easy mode, back into the expert here. You're going to see as we're building the firebox, this steam generation is raising, and as it raises, it'll eventually hit a point where it starts going back down again. In fact, it's doing that now, which might, according to Matt, means it's at the opposite. If you put too much coal in, you don't get the most efficient firebox burn. You're kind of overdoing it, and so you may end up losing some of the effect that you're trying to get. And so I'm at that point now. So we want to go ahead and turn it off. So back to here, on the easy mode, I'm going to turn it off. It shows 63%. I have noticed that around 60% on this particular engine, on the British steam, it's going to be a different number. I think it was like 70 some. On this one, it kind of peaked out at 60. It's a good idea to go a few percent points up, so as you're using and generating steam, it's going to go down to the more effective. You notice we're tapped out at 300 psi on the steam chest. So we're actually ready to go. We got about 85% of water in the boiler. and we're good to go now. So let's get in here. Let's turn our light on the front light. Oh, there we go. So if we go out front, we'll see that our light's on. Also, what we want to do is, just like any engine, get familiar with, with our system. Our throttle is here. Here's our throttle. And our brakes are here. So we need to get our brake pressure up to 90 degrees. You see it on the easy mode on the dials that show here. And of course, the way we always do that, first we're going to put the locomotive brake. See, the locomotive brake is moving. I got the locomotive brake on full, and then I got to release the train brake. And when I release the train brake, you'll see the needle start to raise up to 90. And we got 2 gauges on this, and I have a whole video on how the brakes work. But actually, for the steam engine, 90 is in the for American locomotives is the brake pressure we use on freight, whether it's steam or diesel. But I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more water in while we're talking. Any pressure that goes over 300 psi is getting let off. Let me open the window. And we're basically ready to go. There's a lot of dials and stuff here. We'll kind of talk about that once we get going. But the important thing is we got 90 psi. You see it in the green thing, the green diagram in the easy arcade mode here. We also want to put now that we got 90 on the brake, we want to set the brake a little bit into a running brake. So you see how I got it up to like 26%? It says running, actually even 8% releases it, but 26%, 15% and up to almost 25% to 30% is a running brake. When you get brakes higher than that, you get it up to 40, it's self-lapped. Self-lapped is still almost 50%. There's no braking going on. As long as you see 90 psi on the brakes, that means they're keeping the brakes from opening. When you release the pressure, the springs on the brakes lock them up and begin the braking action. So you really have to put the brake up to apply the brake up higher, and as soon as you do, you start losing your pressure, and the brakes will start being applied to the whole train, all the way down the brake pipe, all the way down the train. We can turn that off now, and let's get rolling. We want to release the brake again to build up to 90 psi. We're on the brake system, and we're at 90 psi, and we'll go ahead and give it a little running brake, because if you don't give it a running brake, the steam gets kind of lost. You have to give it a little running brake, otherwise it dries up and the steam gets lost. I really don't understand every detail about this stuff, but you really should be running with a running brake. And then we'll give it a little throttle. Here's our throttle. And just a little. And of course the reverser we got to give. Where's our reverser? Our reverser is this wheel here. So we got to give it a little forward reverser. We can go ahead and put it right up to like 75%. And if we look out the window, we can see that we're beginning to move. And a little more throttle. And we're beginning to move. Now what I want to do, as we start to get this locomotive going, I got plenty of pressure. We're going to talk about what the necessary pressure is in a minute. But I want to go back and make sure that caboose had uncoupled itself and is released from the rest of the train. So let's slide on back and check out the caboose. Yes, so I could not make it up the hill. We got a 2% grade that we have to go up. This actually goes up above 2% grade. And I can't get all of these cars up over the hill with this locomotive. So I've uncoupled here, and even now, with the amount of cars I have, I can barely get this locomotive up over the hill, and you'll see that in a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the throttle all the way up and the reverser all the way up. That's kind of like a low gear, and get this thing moving. Just for fun, let's throw on the bell, hit the horn. Nice sounding horn, nice sounding bell. Beautiful model, beautiful locomotive. I think the name of the company that makes this is Machine Rail. It's not. I couldn't buy it through Steam, at least not that I know of. I went to their website, and maybe if I remember, I'll put that down in the notes or something. How to get this steam locomotive. Would love to see something like this in Train Sim World. So Train Sim Classic, it's still, it's still a go-to, even though my preferred train simulator is Train Sim World, and I have many of the. I got many routes. I got so many routes in Train Sim World. I don't have them all, but I got a lot of lovely routes. I got pretty much all of the North American ones, including Canada. But one thing a Train Sim Classic offers, it offers beautiful long routes. Like this is the Baltimore, Ohio route that's available from Dovetail Games, at least on the Steam. I think Iron Simulation. I'm sorry, I should have my notes together about what I'm using here. This thing is like 130 miles. So you get these beautiful long routes in Train Sim Classic that you never get in Train Sim World. You usually get the 30 to 45 mile routes. And lately they've been doing better and giving us like 60-mile routes or 100 and some kilometers. And I'm glad to see it. But Train Sim Classic is one of those where you get a lot more train operation and some wonderful routes. Still, I find that the graphics in Train Sim World is just so much nicer. But Train Sim Classic, this is a beautiful route, and it's got, it's scenic as well. I haven't even been through a third of it, because it's, I noticed on the day of the release for Train Sim World 5, not early release, but the regular release, they also had a sale on Train Sim Classic and downloadable content, as well as Train Sim World downloadable content. So I went ahead and picked up this Baltimore, Ohio route, and I got the steam engine to go on it. I find that if I don't know if there's any way, I looked at the user manual for this, to get me to sit a little further to the right so I can look out the window, because an engineer could sit and look out this window. In fact, you can actually open this window using this little handle here. You can open that window up, and you can open up these things up here too. And also, we can turn the gauge lights on, and that's a light that goes down in gauges. We're going to be going through a tunnel, and we're going to need that, otherwise it'll be pitch black. So I find that the way I'm always driving the steam is by looking out the window, just like this. So I can see what's going on and keep an eye on, my gauges and all that stuff. This is typically how I drive it. And then if I turn off the arcade mode, I can see my expert controls. and see what's going on. But you probably can't see that in the video. And got to talk a little bit now about how we regulate all the different aspects. So you will notice that I'm at 100% throttle, and 75% on the reverser is as high as you can go for putting the steam into the steam chest. They're giving you the longest stroke, and we don't want a long stroke, and we don't want to be wasting a lot of steam. Look how my PSI is dropping considerably from 300. I'm wasting steam. I need to build that back up again. And also my steam firebox has gone down to 55%. I need to get that back up. So I'm going to go back that and start using a lot less. On the expert controls, you can see the steam generation rate and the steam usage rate. But back to the arcade mode, this kind of does the same thing. If you see the PSI building, which when it's green, it's building up, you know your steam generation rate is better than the steam usage rate. That's really nice to know. And we're going to go ahead and we got down to 71% on the water. Since we're on flat ground, let's go ahead and take care of a lot of stuff, because once we get on a hill, we may not have the advantage of being able to keep these things up to the best potential. Well, you know, when we were sitting still, we were up to 300 psi, and it starts blowing off relieving the pressure. You don't want a tank boiling or, exploding on you, which was something that used to happen. But you notice we're starting to slow down, and one of the things we need to do is not only get that, let's get the pressure up, and we're going to keep if our throttle is all the way up and we're still slowing down, we probably need more lower gear, so we're going to give it more percentage on the reverser. Yeah, so you can see as I pushed the reverser up, I started to gain speed again. And so what I want to do to make it most efficient all the way around is, once I see I'm gaining speed again, see if I can pull back on the throttle and not use as much steam into the steam chest and still gain speed. So there's a balance. There's a balance between keeping the firebox going, keeping the water at a good level where you're always building steam and not just cooling it off. So I want to turn it off, and I'm going to keep that down and keep that firebox up in the 60% or higher. Sometimes, you know, if it gets a little lower, it's okay, but I want to continue to build, and I'm still slowing down. So let's go ahead and give it more throttle and see if we can get it to go up to speed. So we're learning how to juggle, and that's the skill of it, of driving a steam engine. You'll experience this by the seat of your pants. The more you do it, the better you're going to get, and the more it's going to make sense. And you're going to get used to the route you're on and where the hills are and what you have to do and how to get the speed and how to get this down. Because once we get going, we really want to cut the reverser back down. And see if I can cut it down. And if I cut it back and it's still gaining speed, that's very good. And it is. Maybe cut it a little more, you know, back down to 50%. And it's continue to gain speed. And at one point, I went down to 48% and it started to drop my speed a little, so I'm going to bring it back up to 50-some%. See if I can get it to climb up again. So we're going to constantly juggle, and I'm talking about the reverser now, not the throttle. The throttle's at 100%. I'm just getting the reverser to do my best for me. So I need a little bit more in the reverser, a little bit more torque, I guess, a little longer stroke to give it the most for its buck, and to start building speed. Also, I don't want to waste steam by having the throttle at 100%. you may often have the throttle a lot less and still be able to keep it building speed. And let's try doing that and see how that affects it. So I'm going to pull the throttle back a little, and it's still climbing, so that's a good plus. I got my throttle pulled back to 86% and my speed is still climbing. And I'll keep juggling this, and I'm at the same time keeping an eye on my steam generation is still building. I find that, you know, in an ideal environment, it'll build up to 300, but eventually once you get going down the road, the normal PSI is going to be around 250 with this American engine. So I'm only doing 14 miles an hour here. It's kind of slow. I'm still trying to get it to build up. And also in the easy arcade mode, you can see the grade down on the bottom of the screen. Maybe in the video you won't be able to see it says 0 grade, but you can see the white line is pretty much level. There's no grade. This is the time to get our speed up as much as we can. Keeping an eye on the water tank, keep that going up. Also, if it gets up to 300, that's a good time to put water in. It will cool it down and bring the PSI down a little too. You know, I think you'll find that 250 PSI, and when you're struggling a little, may get down to 240. If you get down in the near 200, you're not doing good. You're not really generating enough steam. So 250 is probably normal. And so right now it's in the red. It's kind of working its way down. That's fine. Let's build up our box from 60%, our firebox. Open it back up and keep that up to, you know, while we are at the level ground, and keep all our numbers to the most effective way we can. Well, I've been doing a lot of talking, and I think as soon as we get ourselves up, we'll take a look at the map. Turn it on the player. I'm so glad Train Simulator 5 finally got the map. After all these years, one of the first things that came to my mind when I first went to Train Simworld, having been a long-time user of Railworks and Train Simulator, was this map with all the information it has on it. And then go to Train Simworld and it's got no information. I really was a head scratcher. What is going on? But you can see where we are in this map, and we got to get, as you get up in this area here, it starts going up a very steep grade, and you slow down and slow down. Hey, if you get around this bend, most of the time I couldn't get around this bend. That's the hard thing. I lose so much power, speed. I get down below 10 miles an hour and 5 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour. And when I had more cars on, I just couldn't make it. I'd come to a complete stop and then be going at half a mile an hour. You can't travel like that. And so I wish I could say if I make it around this bend, I'm okay, because it's not true. This is 2% grade, and it keeps going 2% grade for miles, it seems like. But when I was balancing everything out, I was able to get my 5 or 6 miles an hour back up to a considerably good speed, like 15 miles an hour, even on the 2% grade, which I was really proud of. But it takes some experience, some work to get used to all that. I got more than enough more than enough in the fire, more than I need in the firebox, and more and plenty of water. I need this to start going back up. And right now the PSI is 233. I like to at least be 240, 250. And really would like to cut this down. You can hear it chugging quicker and quicker as you cut the reverser back. And you can't cut it back too much because I'm losing speed. So let's keep it going. Oh, one of the things I forgot to do, I forgot to blow the water out of the steam chest. When you're sitting still, water builds up in the steam chest. Once you're running it, it stays dry. But I'm supposed to blow that out earlier because you don't get as much power when there's a water buildup, and I think that's pretty well modeled in most of the steam engines, British or American, because that's one of the things that it's supposed to be modeled. So what I'm doing now is I'm playing around with the reverser, see if I can get more efficient, but I'm almost having to put the pedal to the metal in a lot of respects because I got another train coming. So I got the throttle all the way up. I got the reverser all the way up, and I rather I didn't because I'm losing pressure. If you see, I'm losing pressure. So, and I'm also losing speed. Really need to bring that down. Put the reverser down to 50% and see if I can find a good balance. One of the things I did by cutting the throttle back and cutting the reverser back is I started building. I got in the green on the PSI again, but I'm losing speed. So I've got to find the right balance of getting the speed back. Got a slow sign here anyway, coming up. I'm starting to fill the water in the water tank again. I'm starting to build speed now, 20 miles an hour. Now I can pull back the reverser, see if we can get this thing up to 40. Still climbing. I got the reverser at 50%. Still climbing nicely. So the whole key here is kind of the fine art of keeping an eye on the water, the boiler, making sure that you're having plenty of water and plenty of space to build steam. Keeping the firebox up above 60% for this particular engine seems to be a good. At some point when I'm really climbing hard, I'll probably let it drop down lower, but be looking for ways to balance everything. I'm in the red. I'm below 200. That's not a good place to be on the PSI, so I'm going 35 miles an hour, so it's a good time to really cut back, get back in the green. I got my reverser at 34%, which gives you a nice quick strokes on the chest, on the rods, on the drive wheels. Cut back on the amount of steam going into the steam chest by pulling back on the throttle a little bit. Beautiful engine. Keep an eye on where I'm going. Now, some might think that the secret to getting uphill is getting a nice, good run at it. You know, you gotta be able to maintain the skills without having to run your way up the hill. Although it never hurts because it helps. But see if I can get myself up to 40 here. Getting up to 40 now, I can start pulling back on the throttle and try to maintain 40. I got 80% on the water tank on the boiler. 80% of the water is in there. I got plenty of water in there to generate steam. Of course, you know what happens if you run out of water, you dry up. You're going to blow the boiler. And I want to keep while I'm going fast like I am, keep my firebox up above 60%. Pull my throttle back, use even less steam. Got my reverser down to 25% and my throttle, I'm going to pull it way back. There's no need to be up over 40. So, I'm starting to feel good. I'm up at a good speed. I've got a very slight grade at 0.4%. Not much, but I'm cruising along at over 40 miles an hour. I got plenty of firebox, plenty of fire. I've got plenty of good steam generation. I'm in the green, over 250 psi. Got my running brake on. My throttle at 30%. And my reverser at 25%, I'm using minimal amount of steam, so steam usage is down. So while we've kind of figured out all of the stuff that we need to know on how it reads on the easy toy mode, arcade mode, let's kind of turn that off. And this is when, if you're doing it yourself, you want to start looking at the same kind of numbers. Your fire mass, that's your firebox here, the boiler level is here. You may not be able to see it, but all this stuff is right there. Steam generation rate is above my steam usage rate, so that's would be showing green. So back to this because, you guys want to be able to see it. Well, got a train coming around somewhere. And you know, it's just a whole lot of fun. It's a whole lot of fun. I think for the sake of the video, I've explained everything I need to explain. I don't want to cut it here. I want to show you what happens when we start getting into grade. So I think I'll edit out a good deal from here until we get to the grade. Because where are we right now? We're right here, and we don't really get to the hard part until several miles up until we get to this bend up here. So, okay, I'll see you in a flash. Alright, we're back. Now, we're about coming up on the grade now, and it's going to get increasingly more difficult to get this puppy up over the hill. Was doing about 30 miles an hour, and I'm starting to drop speed quick. I got plenty of PSI. I'm going to go ahead and give it throttle, see if I can get my speed back up. And I am climbing. The reverser now is at 25%, very short strokes, very good balance. Take a look at where we are in the grand scheme of things. We're actually coming up on the curve that we've been talking about, and so we're doing very good this time around. I imagine that having experience, I've done it before. Several times getting stuck, and then last time was the first time I was able to get over. That maybe each time I'll be doing better and better. But we'll see. We're starting to lose speed again. I think I got down to 5 or 6 miles an hour, and you get much lower than that, you're going to come to a stop, and it's going to be pretty tough. So I'm starting to lose speed. Now, at some point, you shouldn't try to maintain speed. You need to maintain the firebox, the water tank. You need to maintain the PSI more than anything else. So that may mean to get over the hill, you're going to be doing it at a lower speed. So let's try to keep it around 20. And the way we're going to do it now is once it gets down to 20, maybe give it some longer strokes. Go from 25% up a little higher. And we'll be using a little bit more steam generation to get over this hill. But we're going to have to play the game of sacrificing steam generation for speed, sacrificing speed for steam generation, back and forth. And using the throttle and the reverser is what we're going to use to either use more steam or try to use less. So I'm starting to lose quite a bit now, so I'm gonna bring the reverser up until I see it makes a difference. Up to 50%. Still not doing it. Now I think we're doing it now. Up to 56%, no. Up to 60%. And yeah, I'm starting to gain my speed back. I am losing pressure. I'm in the red on the boiler pressure on the steam chest, but I've still got plenty of good steam in there at 273, and I'm maintaining a good speed at 18 and slowly climbing. So I am using a lot of steam, but to get over this hill I'm going to have to use some. And I am dropping quickly on the steam generation, so let's see what I can do about that. Can I Oh. I hate to put water in at this point, but I'm getting a little low. I'm only 60% full. Sometimes to get over a hill, you have to do some of this. I'm back in the green on steam generation. I'm maintaining about 18 miles an hour. This is going very well. But I got a long way to go. I'm at 1.9% grade. I got many. I'm going to get into 2.2. I think it's the largest grade. But I'm doing very well this time. So if any of you have been trying to learn how to do this, to do steam engines, and you keep getting stuck on hills, you know, there's several things. It's the experience you need to balance, the skill and art of balancing all this stuff out so your steam generation stays in a good spot. Making sure that you don't have too much of a train that more than your engine can pull. You know, I'm purposely using, I think, what's the limit. A few more cars. I don't know. Unless I get more experience of doing this, I don't know that I can do any more cars than I have right now. But I got to tell you, I'm very proud. I'm at a 2% grade, and I'm running around almost 20 miles an hour. I'm in the green on steam generation. You know, I'm that little experience, a little bit of experience for doing this a few times is paying off. Chassis systems coming down the pike. They got plenty of motive power. What a beautiful steam engine this is too. I think this is a Berkshire. You know, this Pere Marquette is the kind of the road name here. I'm running it on the Baltimore, Ohio route. Downloadable content and steam. I'm so glad I got this engine. It's less than $20 US dollars. I don't know what that would be in European, but it's like close, actually 17 something and change, but about $18. Wow, it is what a nice deal for this engine. Gonna put some more water in the boiler. I hate to see it get too low. When you're climbing the grades like this, you know, there are times where you just kind of need to keep the steam generation up, which may mean that you don't want to be pouring water in it, cooling it down, or overdoing it on the fire mass or whatever. But I'm keeping my speed, so I'm able to get away with putting water in the boiler. So that's what I'm doing. % grade, and it doesn't quit, and I'm starting to drop. I am starting to drop now. Let's turn off that water. Get myself. One thing I you know, on the expert controls, you're going to look at your steam generation and your steam usage. But when you look at this arcade style thing, just seeing the PSI in the green tells you once again that you are generating steam over your usage. So that's a good easy indicator. Now I am starting to lose speed, so we're going to have to fool around a little bit. Maybe I need a little bit more stroke. I'm going to put it up to 100% throttle. Usually there's a point going up this grade where I end up going all the way down to a few miles an hour. Well, as long as it's hanging there and it's not dropping, I just keep it where it is. You know what though? I'm getting low on the steam chest, on the firebox. So, you know, and not the ideal time to be messing with the firebox, but it's vitally important that we keep that firebox. The proper fire mass for each engine, once you figure that out, gives you the ideal, you know, the ideal efficiency. And so I want to go ahead and get that back up to 60% or so, even though I'm doing a climb. Oh, it's showing the station is just a little box. Ooh, shed. By the way, if you do come to a complete stop, the thing to do is go ahead and put on the brakes and fill up the boiler with water and turn on the firebox and get all the numbers up to where they're supposed to be, and watch your pressure, your steam generation build up till your pressure gets over the 250 to 300 area. And like I said, on British steam, the numbers are different, but the principles are the same, you know. And so, get the firebox and the boiler tank with the proper amount of water for your most efficient steam generation, and then see if you can get going again. Now I'm messing with the reverser just to see if I can get, I'm going back and forth with it to see what it's doing to my speed. Sometimes just actually giving a shorter stroke helps, but it looks like the sweet spot up a little bit. You can hear us chugging now. And we're at the probably the steepest part of this grade. It's 2.3%. This is a tough spot. And we're chugging. I'm going to go ahead and turn the water off, even though it's only at 60%. And just let it chug the best it can. I don't know, I got everything full up. we might get into that situation where I lose all speed. Come on. I am generating steam though. I'm in the green. And I am actually seeing a positive trend. I got below 10 miles an hour, now I'm back up to 10 and I'm gaining. But we went from a 2.3% grade to a 2% grade. Probably not a good time to take the visuals off. Oh, yeah, I'm starting to climb in speed again. If I remember, there's a spot here where even though I'm at 2% grade, it begins to climb up again. I mean, my speed begins to get up, and I get pretty excited, and then the kind of levels out, and then the grade goes up again, and you go through it all over. But it's all looking good. I think really getting that firebox up over 60% helps. I think you kind of get the idea here, what has to go on to get the best balance. I'm starting to build speed. I can fool around with the reverser again and see if I can get the steam generation even better. Pulling this back to maybe 50%. That's not going to work, so back up to 60 on the reverser. Yeah. And you just keep fiddling and finding the most effective spot. In fact, let me show you something here. Actually, believe it or not, I wish I could talk more about this needle, but I believe finding the red needle and the white needle helps you find the most efficient area. I really do. Let's see what happens if I mess with the reverser. What happens? Kind of move. They both go. They both move with the throttle. I'm not sure. I have to play with that. Something for you guys to look at. Well, guys, I think, I mean, this is fun, but I think I've told you everything I need to tell you for you to be successful. Other than, just keep at it and keep playing and keep balancing, and the concepts are there. You understand the steam generation. I'm also wait before I cut off. We're getting about ready to get into this tunnel. I want to show you something as we go into the tunnel. So hang in there another minute with me. But, you know, if you have questions, go ahead and comment. And maybe I can answer them. I gotta say, I think a lot of this is understanding the concepts and then just experiencing it and doing it again and again. Now, one of the things about being in the tunnel, it's going to get dark here in a minute. You won't even be able to see the wall. But I got my light on. Right? Remember, early on I turned the light on. If you wondered why I turned that light on for the gauges, is at least I'm not in the dark anymore. I'm in the tunnel, and I'm good. This is a long tunnel, by the way. So hopefully you enjoyed all that, and you learned something, and you're able to take your steam engines out and get over that hill. And if you can't make it, just go with the smaller train and build up experience. So catch you next time.